Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Join us every week for a unique fan perspective on all of the latest Magic news and updates. The show starts now.
What's up, Magic fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network and Bet Online. We're your hosts, Al, myself, Anthony. Today is Friday, November 15th, and the Orlando Magic are on a 4-game winning streak, undefeated at home, and well needed after getting our tails busted on our road trip. The Magic found a way to kind of turn it around, man. So they've been playing some really, really good basketball, and we're going to break all that down in today's episode and kind of talk about what's been really working for us. Goga Bitadze at it again, playing some really good basketball in place of Wendell Carter Jr., who's still struggling with his injury. Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony finding their rhythm, and then they just officially, we've already kind of knew and saw what it looked like, but officially dropping the 2024-2025 City Edition jersey reveal. But before we get into it, Al, what's going on, man? You're gonna hear Al in just a moment. He's a little under the weather, and man, you're kind of rivaling me on the deepest voice. You're sounding like Batman a little bit.
Yeah, bro. I don't know what's going on, but I'm like, we're not missing the show. 4-game winning streak. I'm doing this sick. I don't care how we do it. We're getting through this. So here we are.
Dude, the hustle is unmatched. So before we jump into all this Orlando Magic conversation, just a quick word from our sponsor, Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA, head to Bet Online today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Also, don't forget to check out Brandon Kravitz on In the Zone 5 days a week, talking about all the hottest sports in Orlando and beyond, live on 96.9 The Game and iHeartRadio. Also, if you're looking for even more Magic coverage, Brandon will be hosting an extension of his show on game days. It's In the Zone Game Day Magic from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. every weekday that the Magic play a game. This is a pregame before the pregame. You can even check out our segment. Not too long. It's about maybe 2-3 minutes, but you can check our segment between the 6:10 to 6:20 mark of the Orlando Magic HQ report. And if that's not enough, catch bonus content and exclusive interviews about the Magic, sports betting, fantasy, and more on the Zone Heads podcast. Download and subscribe wherever you listen to us. You'll be able to check our stuff out and their stuff. And then the last piece, if you haven't known, we release our Patreon. So if you want to support the podcast, there's a lot of benefits. We're talking Magic basketball just about every single day, where there's options to hear exclusive podcasts that we're recording additionally for our members, and some discounts on Orlando Magic games. So if you're interested in supporting the podcast even more, definitely check us out on Patreon. So Al, let's jump into it. This week, Magic had some really, really good basketball. We end up beating the Pelicans 115-88. Obviously, they weren't at 100%, didn't have Zion Williamson and CJ McCollum and others. And then we take on the Washington Wizards, 121-94. We take on the Hornets, LaMelo Ball and the Hornets, 114-89. And then we take down the Indiana Pacers, 94-90. So the trend is, during this streak, is the Magic holding these teams under 100. The defense is really standing out for the Magic, but kind of, throwing it to you, what are some of the things that, you've really seen from this Magic team so far during this stretch?
I think that the biggest thing for me is the defense at certain times in the game. So, I feel like every game they started the game kind of slow defensively. but you always knew, like at some point, the second quarter, third quarter, they'll get it going. Jalen Suggs, KCP just go on this like crazy mode, defending the guards, get like a bunch of steals back to back, and we go on a run. And we saw that in every single game this week. But let me backtrack to last episode. We looked at this homestand, 0-5 on the road trip, and we talked about it like, hey, what are our predictions? And I said it like, if we can win 3 games, I'll be happy. I think you said, I forget what you said, but I think about the same. 3 games would have been like super happy. The fact that we're here today, a week later, 4-0 so far, big game tonight against Philly. But dude, like look at the scores. 94 points, the most that we've allowed all week. Like our defense has been ridiculous. And I mean, I know Jalen Suggs has struggled to shoot the ball on all aspects, really, offensively. But defensively, this team has looked incredible. And I mean, the credit has to go to KCP, Jalen Suggs. J.I. has looked really, really good this past week. And I'm also going to throw it out there, man. Goga, he has been a big difference maker, grabbing rebounds, protecting the rim for us. So the team has just simply stepped up, man, doing what they do best, playing defense. And how could I not mention it? Franz Wagner being the first scoring option, being that number one guy. And man, we've talked about Batman and Batman before. He's looking pretty good. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels as if, and obviously you kind of expect it, Paolo Banchero is just such a dominant force offensively that, you know, it's going to take a minute for these guys to get adjusted. And, you know, early on it was a struggle because they had to learn, you know, to be, like Franz had to learn to be the number one option. He knows that he wasn't the number one option, so he had to learn to be it, even though you can kind of point to, you know, his time in playing for Germany as being kind of like the number one option. He did share that responsibility with, you know, Dennis Schroeder, but you know, this is really, we're putting the ball in your hands and we need you to lead us, you know, to victory. And honestly, it's between him and Jalen, but Franz has been playing some really, really good basketball, man. These last 4 games, he's averaging 27.8 points per game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 1.8 steals. He's doing everything. His shot is looking beautiful. And, you know, this is really a blessing in disguise, because for Franz, I can see moments where he's just kind of watching Paolo do his thing, right? And really taking the back seat. Now him learning to survive and live and thrive without Paolo, it's going to be a little scary once Paolo does come back. And the Magic they're going to learn so much from that experience, because we can't. The part that scared me the most, and something that was really highlighted when Paolo first went down, is the fact that this team struggled without Paolo, and we relied so much on you know, up for Paolo. We relied on, you know, everything that he's able to provide, and the Magic are learning to win without him, which is great. Obviously, we're a way better team with Paolo Banchero, not insinuating anything, but being able to add that and add Paolo back into the mix is going to be really fun. But man, if Franz continue this trend, can you see Franz enter the All-Star conversation, or do you believe that it is still way too early?
I definitely think it's too early. I think there's a path for him to make the All-Star game. I mean, you look at the standings, some way, somehow, we are third in the East at this point, 7-6 record. But if he keeps it up, I mean, how can you not? Especially if Paolo comes back late December, the Magic are looking good. We get to February, and you got to pick someone from the Magic. It may not be Paolo this year just because he hasn't played enough games. They might give it to Franz. So we'll see what happens there. But to your point, I think what I'm really liking is the fact that teams on the scouting report now have to wonder, like, man, we saw Franz do this without Paolo. Now Paolo's back. And by the way, Paolo's averaging 29 points. Franz, let's say, he's averaging 25. You now have 2 dudes that you just got to figure out, who do we guard here? And we always go back to the Celtics, right? Like Jason Tatum and Brown. That's, I think, the mold the Magic have kind of decided to kind of build around. Like, hey, let's build the next Celtics of the East, much younger team. We're the Celtics of the future. And you can see it at times. 2 forwards that can do it all, can play make, can shoot, can score. We're seeing it come to fruition, man. So I definitely see a path for Franz to make the All-Star game. It's just unfortunate that it may have to be Paolo or Franz. I don't think both will make it this year.
Yeah, now some of these games they're going to get tougher, right? You got Philadelphia tonight, and this will be our second game for the NBA Cup. So we're expecting Embiid and Paul George to play in that game. Maxi's still out with dealing with his injury, but Monday you got Phoenix, Wednesday against the Lakers, followed by the Clippers. These games aren't going to get easy. One could say that the Pelicans, the Wizards, the Hornets, the Pacers, especially playing back home, because the Magic is a better team when we're playing in the Kia Center. But one can say that, even without Paolo, we are the better teams, given the scenarios. Pelicans, again, dealing with injuries. Wizards, they're going to be the Wizards, but even then, they were without Kyle Kuzma. Hornets are going to be the Hornets, and, Indiana Pacers, for some crazy reason, even without Paolo, we still give them such a hard time. We match up so well with them. But, these games are going to be tougher. And I think that for me, this Philadelphia game is really going to highlight if we really are what we think we are, even without Paolo, right? Because this is still going to be a really, really good Philadelphia team. If these guys are playing, it's going to be a game that matters, the NBA Cup, and we're still at home, right? So these four teams, an outsider can say, well, it's not all that impressive because look at the teams that you're playing. The Philadelphia, this is a game that you can kind of circle and be like, okay, so the Magic really do have something here, especially with Franz leading the way. Are you a little worried with what's coming and how the games are being a little tougher?
For sure. And I forgot who I was talking to last night after the game, but I did say, December is going to be a tough month for us. Like we've looked great at home. The schedule has been favorable. Let's not lie to ourselves. The Pacers game was the most competitive one that I expected, and we found a way to win it, so that was great. But yeah, you look at Philly, you look at Phoenix without KD, so that may be doable. The Lakers, the Clippers, we have some good games coming up. But really, December is the month that I'm like, man, like how do we survive that month without Paolo? Which again, in my mind, I'm expecting to see him at the earliest, late December, maybe that big homestand that we have around Christmas. That would be amazing. But that's another month and a half away. So I do get concerned about what's coming, but we got to remember, man, one game at a time. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We had people talking about the lottery last week when we lost 5 in a row. A week later, with the third seed, we're looking good again. So again, one game at a time. We just need no more injuries. And I think we'll be fine.
That's what makes the season so fun, man. There's always so many roller coasters. One minute we're thinking one way, the next minute we're thinking another, and that's kind of just the journey of the season. But through the stretch, one of the surprising things really were, Jalen Suggs struggling a little bit, even through this winning streak, averaging only 9.3 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 30% from the field, 25% from three-point line, and almost 4 turnovers. Should we be concerned with Jalen Suggs taking a little bit of a dip?
Yeah, he's looked off to me a little bit. And it all started with that. I don't know if you remember a few games ago, he sprained his ankle and he kind of struggled to get back up. That was, I guess, a couple days after the whole streak started, but still, he's looked off. The shot hasn't been the same. He hasn't looked as aggressive attacking the basket. He's looked out of control a little bit. So the good news is we're doing well even without Jalen Suggs being a key contributor that he normally would be next to Franz. So hopefully, he'll find his rhythm. After tonight's game against Philly, we have 2 nights off, which hasn't happened in a while. So hopefully in that time he'll recover. He'll be back to normal. I'm not concerned by any means. I think he'll be fine, but we'll need him. We talked about December being a tough month. Without Jalen, we truly have no chance in that month. Like, we need him to be at least at 15 points per game, hitting some threes, and helping out Franz.
Yeah, I think the biggest question going into the season, especially when we kind of talked about or reflecting about last season, can Jalen Suggs kind of carry that momentum into this season? And I think that he's shown that he can. He's shown that he is that player, right? I'm not worried about it. Obviously, it's still a learning curve for him being the primary ball handler, right? It's still going to take some time for him to fully develop, so I'm not worried about the turnovers. His shot falling, man, we need it so bad. So whatever it is, hopefully the couple days off will do him some good. But yeah, man, there's been times that we had a little scare with Jalen Suggs, him leaving the game, and he looked like he really hurt himself. And for Jalen Suggs, a player that is very Iron Man like to leave the game. It reminds me of the series last year with Cleveland. We thought that that's it, we lost him and he wasn't going to be ready for this season, and moments later he came right back into the game. There's something about Jalen Suggs that it's hard not to love and respect him as a competitor, because he does not want to not be on the floor, right? Even if he's not able to be 100%, 80% of Jalen Suggs is still a lot better, even on the defensive end, than a majority of players in the NBA. So I really do hope that he turns it around, but yeah, I'm also not worried. But a key factor to us being successful on this stretch is also the support that we've been getting from Goga Bitadze, the Georgia Beast, as he wants to be token. So it's starting to feel like an annual trend. We had the same conversation last year. Wendell Carter goes out, enters Goga Bitadze, and we go on a winning streak. So I feel like this is now becoming just an annual tradition. Last 4 games for Goga, almost 11 points a game, close to 9 rebounds, block and a half, 79% from the field. This is somebody that is contributing to winning basketball. So the $1 million question now, is Goga Bitadze a better fit than Wendell Carter Jr.?
That's a tough one, and we've seen the debate take place on Twitter quite a bit the past few days. Last season too, we heard it quite often. It's tough, man. I think we talked about it last year. He does what the starting lineup needs: someone that protects the rim, someone that just gets easy putbacks. He doesn't demand to shoot the ball often. He just sets picks, rebounds, and block shots. That's what he does. And we've said it for a while, like this team with a legit 7-footer that can run the floor, finish dunks, and protect the rim, that's what we need. And Goga's providing us with that. Unfortunately for Carter Jr. is the fact that he keeps going down, man. Like he plays well in stretches, but when he goes out, we don't miss a beat. We don't miss him out there. It's sad to say, but it's true. We don't miss him out there. Goga comes in and does his job, doesn't complain, just plays hard. Most importantly, helps us win games. Even at times last year, we saw where Wendell came back and mostly was like, well, come off the bench for a while. And he tried to do that. And he really couldn't find the rhythm in that role. So is he a better fit? I think so. Is he the better player? I don't know. But I do believe that if you put Paolo out there, Franz, Jalen Suggs, KCP with Goga regularly, he fits better than Wendell does. Again, not a better player. I just think that his fit with this team is better. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think night and day, Wendell's definitely the better player. But you want someone like Goga. I mean, how many times have we talked about, Wendell not being a true center, right? He served better at the 4 than he would be at the 5. And I think for me, I don't want to pit Wendell and Goga against one another. I think that there's a lot of benefits to being able to have a player like Goga on your roster, especially when you have somebody like Wendell that historically gets injured and gets injured often. The fact that you have Goga Bitadze in your back pocket that you can kind of plug in and not lose any production, because even when Wendell is in the game and you're bringing Goga in, you're expecting an impact from him. He's able to impact the game almost immediately. So yeah, I Wendell Carter, when he comes back, it's his position to lose. I don't see him losing. The Magic obviously offer him the extension, and he's here for the foreseeable future unless something changes. But yeah, man, I would like to see, especially if Paulo's out, I would love to see maybe Goga and Wendell playing together at some point. Maybe not in the starting lineup, but in some stretches, I would like to see Wendell be pushed down to the 4 and kind of have a bigger presence from the two of them. That to me would be a really good experiment.
I was thinking about that. Like, is there a scenario where we go big, right? You have Goga, Wendell, Paolo, Franz, Suggs, like go really big. Like that would be a scary lineup. Only would work against certain teams, of course. But it's funny that we talked about Wendell being the better player. But when I look at stats for a second, Wendell this season so far is only averaging 8 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists in 6 games. In that same stretch, Goga's averaging, again, like you said, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, killing it inside 79% from the field. So they are about the same if you think about what they're producing at the very least. What I feel like though is that Goga doesn't demand the ball at all. Like you don't see him, expecting to shoot, 5, 10, 15 shots. It's whatever he gets. And most of those shots coming in from,
points.
it's offensive rebounds, it's putbacks, it's alley-oops. And again, I think with our team, that's a better fit. I feel like Wendell needs corner threes, pick and pops. That's kind of more like his game. But again, man, I think Wendell needs to come back, needs to stay healthy, and has to stay healthy the rest of the season. Because again, at this point, 2 years in a row where Goga's saying, hey, I'm here if you need me. But when I'm here, I'm producing really well. At some point, they have to figure something out. But I mean, new contract for Wendell. You can't sell him right now. You just give him a new contract. But in the meantime, we're blessed that we have 3 centers that can play well. But at some point, that's going to have to be a question you have to address. Like, who's the guy we want to go with going forward?
Yeah, and luckily for us, again, even with Wendell out, we have flexibility. You got Goga, you got Mo Wagner, that he's been playing crazy offensively, averaging about 17 points per game. Definitely a huge difference than the start of the season. But you also have Jonathan Isaac that's stepping it up for us. Cole Anthony too, finally finding his rhythm, being impactful when he's in the game. There was a moment where he had one too many DNPs, and something that, one, we're not used to, and two, I can only imagine how much that had completely hurt his confidence. You never want that for a player that could really help this team. But they've been looking so much better. Isaac averaging about close to 8 points a game, 5 rebounds, 1 block. Cole Anthony hitting some shots again at 8 points, 3.5 rebounds, and about 1.5 assists per game. How important is it for this team to get those two rolling again for us?
I mean, we talked about it all year heading into the new season. Like, our depth is our strength, right? So this homestand, it's a perfect example of that. Franz is killing it, right? No doubt about that. Jalen's struggling. But you look at the bench. You look at Mo Wagner killing it. J.I. stepping it up. Gary Harris hit some shots again. Cole Anthony stepping up. You have Jay Howard playing some minutes, hitting some threes. Like, all of a sudden, the bench is looking like the bench that we expected. And how can I forget? Anthony Black killing it out there. So that's our strength. And when you got guys like Cole Anthony, who you expect to perform at a high level, and also J.I., that's the key for our team, man. If you can have 2 guys off the bench just contribute on a nightly basis, whoever it is, they can take turns. But J.I. and Cole have to give us something every single night. That's the key for us. So if we can have Mo Wagner continue to be consistent, AB, we know he's going to be consistent. We just need, again, that Cole Anthony and J.I. to find a rhythm, keep it going little by little. But they looked really, really good this past week. Cole Anthony, I like seeing him out there, man. Like, I know he struggles at times, but he plays so hard. He's the heart. Honestly, from before, he's been the heart of our team. We've always said that. So we need him out there. I want to see us win games with Cole Anthony playing a part in us winning those games. So it's been great to see. Just want to see it continue as we move forward.
Yeah, man. Our second unit is a big reason why we were successful last season. And I refuse to believe that the only reason why we were such a highly ranked second unit team, and you're smiling because you already know what I'm about to say. I refuse to believe that sole reason was because of Joe Ingles, right? These guys are guys that we heavily rely on, and we need them. So it hurt me to see them struggle, right? It hurt me to see Cole Anthony get DNPs, because we know what Cole Anthony is about, man. We need his offensive presence. And if Mo Wagner can continue playing his streaky, somehow efficient game, it's huge for us. He does the same post move every single time he gets the ball. This is pump fake up and under and gets a defender. Literally, it does the same move at least 5 to 7 times a night. It works. But you got Anthony Black that Man, I've been so impressed with him and what he's been able to do. And, the more we see him, succeed out there, the more you can really start seeing the vision of, him being the point guard of the future for the Magic. And then just kind of transitioning a little bit, I already know what your thoughts are, but the 24-25 City Edition uniforms, if you haven't seen what they look like, they're the same Kingdom on the Rise uniforms from last season, except it is now the white alternative. What are your quick initial thoughts on these uniforms that the Magic will be donning this season?
Yeah, man, I like them. To be honest with you, when compared to last year, they pop more. Like, I don't know, I just find them to be more easy on the eye for me. Like, I like them better. Simple as that. I'm excited. I want to see what I truly judge them in person, number one. And number two, playing on the court, like whatever court they're going to use this year. Have we seen the new court yet? I think like we have, but I may have forgotten.
I want to say that we did. Steven had mentioned that it may be the same one from last year, which would make sense because that's what the Magic did with the orange theme City Edition uniforms. It was the same court, even if it didn't match the uniform itself.
Okay, so we'll have to wait and find out. I think next Saturday is their first game with the City Edition jerseys against Detroit. So we'll see what those look like. But pretty simple, man. I like them. They're clean. Again, I can't wait to see them in person. I think I like them even more in person. But I think it should be the last. I think they do 3 years at a time. So it should be their last year with this concept of Kingdom on the Rise. So I like it.
No, I think this isn't this year too.
This should be year 3 already because they had the blue, the white now, and they had one before that, the year before as well. That's when they first introduced the whole Kingdom on the Rise.
So I don't remember the first one. Yeah, man, I like the uniform. I definitely like the white way more than last year as well. Definitely pops more. I actually really, really like them. Like I would buy the uniform. Like I wasn't so much crazy about our orange theme. I own every single one, but I'm really glad that we transitioned out of that. It was cool at the beginning, and then just kind of it was too much. Quite frankly, I hope in the near future we kind of stop the whole City Edition. I think collectively, from an NBA perspective, there's a lot of bad jerseys out there, like a lot. But at the same time, I like being able to see the challenge that these teams kind of have to face to be creative and do something new. Like just kind of thinking futuristically, like what the hell do the Magic do from here? They already did the space theme. They did the orange stuff. Now, Kingdom on the Rise. I'm not sure if I'm missing another theme, but this is like where do you go from here? I have no idea.
So the NBA is trying to keep up with soccer because soccer, I don't know if you know this, but they switch jerseys every single season. Like out there in England, like the Premier League. Yeah, which makes sense. The difference is, I feel like in the NBA, man, like I'm like you. I'm at a point like they've done too much. I don't know anymore. Like there's some jerseys that are green that I think is the Celtics, and next thing you know, it's Phoenix. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like they're trying too much. I don't mind it if they make minor, subtle kind of changes to make it different, but not to this extreme. I like the concept initially, but now to your point, it's becoming too much. Add to that the whole NBA Cup courts being all colorful, like. I think it's getting out of hand with the NBA. Like I like simplicity. I'm a fan of.
I mean, the Cub courts look so much better this year than they did last year. Yeah.
I mean,
last year
was the Celtics
rough.
one though. You see the Celtics one though?
No.
It's
no,
like
I
all
haven't,
green.
I mean, the worst court that we've seen where it had to have been the Bulls
last year.
Yeah, last year was rough.
Yeah. So
I feel like the Magic didn't lean into it last year. Just because our court was gray and not, our primary blue, which I think we should have done. But they've definitely gotten better. Now I'm curious, and I need to take a look at what the Celtics court looks like.
Yeah, based on what I saw, it was like completely green. I'm just like, this is not easy on the eyes. So I like the idea of like innovating, trying new things. But yeah, the City Edition jerseys, to me, one of two things. You either make one City Edition jersey last multiple years, so that way it's like a 2-year thing, 3-year thing, or something like that. But again, it's all about money, man. Nike's trying to make as much money as possible, so they'll continue to do this They also have, what is it, the classic edition jerseys. It's a lot. So
Oh my
again,
God, this is hideous. The
oh,
whole
see,
entire court is green. That is insane.
I told you there's some better ones this year, but there's still some that are like, what are we
Yeah,
doing
no,
here?
that's rough. It's like the garden, but it looks like a garden. Yeah, that has to hurt. Like on the eyes. Man,
Yeah.
that's rough. Okay. All right, so we mentioned earlier tough stretch ahead. Philadelphia on Friday, Monday against Phoenix, Wednesday Lakers, Thursday Clippers. What are your predictions? How do you think the Magic fare?
So man, it's gonna be a tough week. I would love to say we're gonna go 2-2. Um, Hopefully we beat Philly tonight. That would be amazing. If we can start the NBA Cup with 2 wins, that'll be amazing. But after that, it gets tough. It's a Phoenix, LA, Clippers. Just win one of those. So if you can win tonight against Philly, win one of the other games, I'll be happy. Especially one of the ones in LA. So I think we talked about this last week. I'll be out there in LA on vacation next week, so I'll be at both of these games. So I am hoping to see a Magic win out there in LA next week.
Man, when I grow up, I want to be just like you, Al, and travel to LA and catch both Laker Magic games back to back.
I invited you, bro. I invited you.
Yeah.
All
Very
expenses
nice
paid and everything. And
yeah. No, I'm gonna be a homer, man. I think that I'm gonna say that the Magic take their 4-game winning streak and make it a 7-game winning streak. Win 3 out of the 4. You beat Philadelphia, you beat Phoenix, and you beat the Clippers. I would say those
listen,
are my predictions.
it's not crazy. So Embiid, you saw Philly's highlights. Like he looks out of shape right now.
Sluggish. Yeah.
Paul George, not quite there yet. So I think Philly's biddable. Like if we play defense like we've been playing this past week, we can beat Philly. I'm not too worried about that. Phoenix, no KD. You can, again, it's winnable. And then the Lakers are the Lakers. Like either they have it going on and they get all the calls.
I'm
They're gonna
ready.
win.
I'm ready to see that Franz and LeBron matchup. I think that is going to be a great confidence booster for Franz Wagner. I think that's going to be a good moment for.
I'm excited for AD against Goga. That's what I'm excited for.
And Goga would take that matchup serious, man.
Yeah.
He'll take that super serious. I'm gonna need Mo Wagner to get into that game and find a way to be kicked out of the game. That's what I'm gonna need. I'm gonna need him to have that type of energy.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for those games, especially the Lakers game. It's always fun, right? But I really don't ever get tired of seeing us beat the Lakers. So I hope that's the one game that we win while I'm out there in LA. But yeah, man, I would love to see that 7-game winning streak. Hey, last year we made it to 10 games winning streak when Goga got into the lineup. So you never know.
Yeah. So Magic take on Philly at home. Then they go on the road against Phoenix, the Clippers, and the Lakers. So definitely going to be a tough stretch, but it's going to be a good challenge to really see exactly where this team is looking like. When you take a look at, kind of the standings, the Magic sitting on top of the East, man, surprisingly. When Paolo Banchero went down, we were expecting to drift away a little bit. And the Magic, they're fighting. Every single game matters. When it comes to, counting down, if you count down the days for Paolo Banchero's return, it's not only going to drag, but, it's not the right momentum. It's not the right mindset. You really want to take it game by game and, tackle that challenge head on and go from there and surprise teams, man. And I think that that's the biggest advantage that the Magic have is the ability to be able to surprise these teams. The Magic have the second best defense in the NBA, just right behind OKC. And if the Magic can continue to keep these teams under 100, the Magic have a shot. Simple as that. God forbid someone lets us, go off from the 3-point line and we get some consistency. It's a wrap, and it's a wrap early. So we'll see, man. There's a lot of good storytelling happening in these next couple games.
Yeah, you said it best. If the defense can do their thing and we can make at least, that's my number, 10. If we can make 10 3-pointers in a game and play solid defense, I like our chances. So we've been doing it lately. It's got to carry over now to the road as well, which we saw us lose 5 in a row on the road. We got to find a way to win some games while on the road.
Yep. All right, Magic taking on the process tonight, followed by Phoenix, Clippers, LA. Let's see what the Magic got during this stretch. That's a wrap for us here at the HQ. Show is presented by Bet Online, and we'll catch you guys next week.
For all the latest Magic news and updates, visit OrlandoMagicHQ.com and follow us on Instagram at Orlando Magic HQ and on Twitter at OMagicHQ. Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform.